Welcome back to The Young Voter. The most important item of news politically this week has been the fight going on in Congress over funding the federal government for the remaining of this year and for the next fiscal year. President Obama delivered his budget to Congress at the beginning of this week. He cuts a lot of programs, a total of $1.1 trillion over 10 years, many cuts to social programs, especially programs that President Obama has championed in the past. A lot of aid to community organizers, winter heat subsidies for the poor, etc. Now, Republicans have attacked this budget immediately, saying it doesn't cut enough and that it is a timid attempt at cuts, while Democrats have attacked it because they say that it cuts too much from the most vulnerable and doesn't take enough away from the rich. So, where are we? Well, this budget doesn't deal with any entitlement cuts. So Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid aren't addressed in this budget, and they are going to be some of the largest parts of the fiscal budget going forward. They are the largest parts because they continue to drain money from the federal budget, because they're big chunks. Now the fact, though, is that Social Security is one of the most solvent of government programs. It actually doesn't run out of money ever. It's not meant to run out of money ever. Until 2035 or so, it'll pay 100% of benefits. And after that, it will be able to pay 70% ad infinitum. So the talk all around about Social Security being unsound and solvent, that it's going to go bankrupt, is fear-mongering. And it's fear-mongering by Republicans because they want you to cut it so that they can then say, oh, well, we cut Social Security, now we've balanced the budget. But at the same time, they extended the tax cuts for their wealthy friends and donors, which increased the budget deficit, and over the long term will waste and squander millions and millions of dollars that the rich don't need. So, that's where the Republicans are coming from, saying that it doesn't attack entitlement programs and that doesn't cut enough. They need to cut enough, more and more and more. Of course, Republicans don't realize that they're the ones that brought us into two wars that have cost billions of dollars that have been unpaid for. These wars are unpaid for. There was never an increase in revenue or a cut elsewhere to pay for these wars. These wars were just added to the deficit, as well, of course, to the 2001 Bush-era tax cuts. Over the last 10 years, it is the Republicans that have created this deficit. And it is Republican policy, long-term policy, since the Reagan years that not only brought about the financial problems and collapse that we experienced, but that created this long-term deficit, okay? Because taxes were brought down, people's tax expectations were that they wouldn't have to pay taxes, very high taxes. And now, the government receives a smaller percentage of taxes. As a percentage of GDP, the government collects a smaller percentage of tax than ever in the history of the United States. And that's why we have to cut a lot of these programs, because taxes were lowered and spending was increased. But not by the Democrats. The Republicans were the ones who increased spending. And Republicans just keep lying and lying. For example, Speaker Boehner, the Speaker of the House, of course, John Boehner, he said this week that 200,000 federal jobs were added over the last 2 years under the Obama administration. That's not true. 58,000 federal jobs were added, most of those in national security contractor positions, okay? In terms of security for buildings, state houses across the country, as well as more employees for the TSA, terrorist surveillance programs. Almost all of these 58,000 employees have been in the national security area of the budget. But John Boehner has said there are 200,000. Of course, facts don't matter to him. Now, the interesting part is, he said, well, if we cut those jobs, so be it. If we lose 200,000 federal jobs, we have to cut something. But I thought your whole thing was about increasing jobs. And the whole point is, okay, these are federal jobs, but they're still people, they're still jobs. If you're going to get rid of their jobs, you're going to have more people that are unemployed. They're not just these people that just come in just for federal jobs, and when they're not they're fired from their federal job, they just leave the country. I mean, they're still people. The same thing that's going on in Wisconsin, okay, where the governor, Walker, is now trying to get rid of collective bargaining rights for the unions, okay, and is trying to force cuts on them, pay cuts, staff cuts, has threatened to call in the National Guard unless they comply with his demands. These are people, you have to remember, okay? They're still people. And it's a myth out there that unions are paid exorbitant amounts of money. They're not paid exorbitant amounts of money. They're given fair benefits, okay? A lot of times they're paid low wages, okay? You look at miners' unions, you look at teachers' unions. Teachers are not millionaires, okay? I don't understand where this myth arises that teachers are making tons of money, okay, and are lording over everyone. These teachers' unions, they're not, okay? In Wisconsin, okay, now in New Jersey with the fat Governor Chris Christie, okay, who's going to cut the teachers' unions, but he's going to take all the money now for the food budget of the governor's mansion. Okay, that's a joke, but come on, these teachers don't make a lot of money. How can you believe that? I mean, if you've been brainwashed to believe that, I feel so bad for you, and it's despicable. Okay, teachers do not make that much money, okay? They make, on average, about $25,000 a year. Okay, that's not a lot of money. That's barely above the poverty line, okay? If you're with a family of 4 people, that's below the poverty line, okay? And a lot of teachers have children. So if you fire people, you're going to create greater unemployment and increase the suffering in this country. I don't understand where the Republicans are coming from. And it's frustrating. And they're not for people. At least nothing they've done has shown me that they care about the average American. The average American does not make $250,000 a year, okay? The average American needs a tax cut because they only make $25,000 a year. But those making over $250,000 don't need it. I don't understand. I really don't understand, okay? And now there's the GOP continuing resolution, which is cutting programs left and right. They said now even Republicans have come out against some of the amendments because they would have the Capitol security force. I mean, you're not going to have any police on Capitol Hill? It's crazy. And there are over 400 amendments, both by Republicans and Democrats, but they're cutting right and left. You can't cut $40, $50 billion out of the federal government and not expect a double-dip recession. The federal government, as much as you don't like it, is an employer of about 2 million people. If you immediately get rid of those people, that's 2 million more people out of work. But maybe that's the Republican strategy. I don't know. Maybe they want there to be a double-dip recession so they can say, oh, look, Obama made the economic situation worse. And then they can defeat him, and then they can get control, and then they can screw everyone over even more and enrich their fat cat friends and donors. Maybe that's the plan. I mean, that's what I think the plan is. Wake up. Fight back against these bastards. Okay? Fight back against them. Alright? They're trying to take your money. They're trying to take away all your rights. Okay? In Missouri, Republicans are trying to get rid of child labor laws. They're trying to make children be able to work at 14 and for any hour of the day. They don't want any of these laws. They want to go back to the 1900s, the beginning of the 1900s. Okay? When people didn't have rights. Okay? When people were shackled, okay, to their employers. It's shameful. It is a shame, and it is a disgrace. We need to fight back against these people. Now, breaking news today, on another note, just purely political, for 2012, Senator Jeff Bingaman of New Mexico is retiring. He's a Democrat. People have said that now there's going to be a scramble to fill that seat. I'm not really worried because New Mexico is a pretty solidly Democratic state. President Obama won it by a comfortable 15 points. I think that seat will stay Democratic. But you have to fight back because all of these Republicans want to cut everything you've worked hard for. All of the laws and minimum wage we've created. They want to get rid of it, okay? They want the employers to be king once again. Don't let it happen. Fight back. We can do it. Thank you again for watching The Young Voter.